Unpredictability. Mango, Sana, Dingo, Toyota. I'm willing to bet your story has got some real characters in it, and if it doesn't, then that violates my predictions. Characters are the lifeblood of any narrative, as in they are alive and presumably full of blood. Unless you're Joe Abercrombie, in which case most of the blood is on the floor. In any event, having a world populated with believable, relatable, motivated, and likable characters is crucial to good storytelling. And if you want to improve your characters, one of the best ways to do that is to make them more unpredictable. What were you expecting me to say? I've said before, possibly off camera, that the best characters have the potential to surprise the reader. Their actions and choices are difficult to predict. Does this mean that these characters should behave irrationally? Sometimes, but mostly no. Unpredictable does not mean unexplainable. Unpredictability is entirely about expectations that the reader has, or said another way, predictions that they've made that turn out to be false. The behavior of the characters should in retrospect be explainable, but at the very moment that it happens, it should be on some level surprising. This is the generally stoic character who flies into a blind rage when they see a certain injustice, or the snooty butler who turns out to be quite a good breakdancer, or the seemingly cold and emotionally distant character who shows a sudden gesture of kindness at an opportune time. All of the above can be explained and rationalized, and I think it's part of this rationalization process that makes this sort of unpredictability so entrancing. Unpredictability is not so much a trait that you directly bake into your characters, but rather an emergent property that arises from well-defined and well-executed characters. Characters with the capacity to surprise often have long and intricate backstories, a broad swath of experiences that affects their decisions. They've been places and seen some stuff and done some things. And if you pull this off, every one of those experiences will drive the decisions your character makes. Decisions that on the surface might seem a bit strange, but in light of the character's past experiences, they should make perfect sense. Part of this is just the amount of backstory that the reader may not be familiar with, but a large part of it is simply nuance. Anyone who's been through a lot of different experiences is going to have a very complex view on those events, and is going to come away shaped by them in different ways. There's a whole bunch of psychology at play here, from the shadow to repressed emotions, projection, core beliefs. I mean, think about how often people self-sabotage or continue to make decisions in their day-to-day life that are ultimately detrimental. This is most often a result of past experiences influencing behaviors that seem, you guessed it, Toyota. I mean unpredictable. Oftentimes there are blatant contradictions in what the character has experienced, or different experiences have meshed together in different ways to make that character who they are. And it's not just the past that affects unpredictability, it's also the present. As in the events happening in your story. Although if your story is in past tense, I guess that would technically be the past. And if you haven't written your story yet, then this is technically the future. And if you're writing in future tense, what I'm getting at here with zero eloquence is that dynamic characters that change throughout the course of the story, often have the capacity to surprise the reader. Since they literally change throughout the course of the story, and that change tends to happen without the reader necessarily knowing. Although the best implementations of this often give the reader clues, like subtle changes in how the character speaks out, or how they react to events in the story, sudden moments that demonstrate massive character change often come unpredictably. A once cowardly and non-confrontational character might slowly start talking back, or standing up for themselves in ways that are so subtle they aren't blatantly clear at the time, but once the character gets pushed beyond a certain point, all the change suddenly becomes apparent and they slay a dragon with just a pointy stick or something. It's like raising the temperature of a block of ice. It won't start melting until you get to 0 degrees Celsius, or like 47.658 Fahrenheit, at which point real change starts to happen. The ice starts to melt. Yes, things are warming up and there is change happening, but that change builds up to a certain point, and it's only after a certain threshold is passed, 0 degrees Celsius or 54.76 degrees Fahrenheit, that we see the ice start to melt. Just like measuring temperature in Fahrenheit, unpredictable characters need to be complex. There's a reason archetypes and stereotypes are considered types. They're predictable, the reader has seen them before. If you want to create a truly unpredictable character, you need to go beyond 2 dimensions, reaching into the 3rd dimension, and perhaps the 4th dimension, And if you're brave enough, the fifth dimension. This requires an intricate backstory, well-woven relationships with other characters who are themselves complex in their own way, and a really deep understanding of the character by you, the writer. If you approach writing your characters the same way your reader reads them, they won't turn out unpredictable because you'll be constantly trying to move the story along according to your own predictions. It's up to you, the writer, to know everything there is to know about your characters and have them react accordingly. Ultimately, what this comes down to is having your character developed beyond what's on the page. They need to be developed up here. Well, your head, not in my head. Just like I'm glad this video went into your head. I don't like how that sounds. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.